You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily? D-Mag here. We've got a big update on Cooper Kupp, and it is not a good one. The Rams will be without their all-pro, all-world wide receiver for at least a month. Adam Schefter tweeted out, Rams are placing standout wide receiver Cooper Kupp on injured reserve due to his lingering hamstring issues per league sources. Kupp now will be sidelined a minimum of 4 games, starting with Sunday's regular season opener at Seattle. So we already knew that the Rams were going to be Kuppless in Seattle and that Cooper Kupp was going to miss the Rams season opener, but now he's going to miss 4 games. He's going to miss the first month of the season at the very least. So here's what you need to know. The first thing is the Rams schedule was very brutal to start the year. Very difficult schedule. It was a gauntlet front-loaded with playoff teams, with teams with Super Bowl aspirations. You open up in Seattle. That was a surprise team last year. And you come home to play the San Francisco 49ers at SoFi. And then week 3, you go on the road to Cincinnati to play Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. And then week 4, that was the most winnable game. The Colts on the road. So a very difficult schedule to start things off. I still think the Rams can have success. And if you can split without Cooper Kupp, that would be a big win because at the back end of this schedule, lots of winnable games. You can pile up those wins and make a run at the playoffs. But if you talk to people within this organization, one of the big reasons why they felt like they could be competitive this season, despite a young and inexperienced roster, is because you had a healthy Matthew Stafford, a healthy Cooper Kupp, a healthy Aaron Donald behind an improved offensive line. Well, Cooper Kupp, he's out to start the year, so they're going to need to have guys step up because, look, make no mistake about it, this is a big blow because of how much Cooper Kupp does for this offense. Last year, he wasn't a big part of the system. He was the system. Kupp had over 1/3 of the Rams' targets in 2022 before suffering a season-ending ankle injury after 9 games. And when he went down with that ankle sprain, he accounted for 35% of the Rams' scrimmage yards. If you look at his numbers, he played in just 9 games, but he still led the Rams in catches with 75, receiving yards with 812, receiving touchdowns with 6, despite being limited to just 6 games. And also, you look at what he's able to do for this offense and the role he has. They use him as the F receiver. You see him running option routes. The loss is going to dramatically hurt them in the running game because of what he's capable of as a blocker. So, look, make no mistake about it. This is a big blow for the Rams. When I heard this, I was pulling a Michael Scott from The Office. I was just silent. Then all of a sudden I went, no, God, no, please, God, no. And then to cool down, I rewatched Super Bowl 56, rewatched Cooper Kupp making that game-winning touchdown grab, and I felt a lot better. And before we freak out, Rams fans, let's remember this, that this team is better equipped this season to perform without Cooper Kupp than they were last year. Earlier in the week, Sean McVay said that Kupp has missed most of the offseason and that they've been preparing without him all summer and that they're ready for a situation like this, unlike they were in 2022. And I think the most important thing is that when Cooper Kupp returns, that he's here to stay. This is your top 5 receiver. This is your all-world Super Kupp we're talking about. And I think one of the silver linings here is, one, Matthew Stafford is going to be forced to find other targets, to build rapport and chemistry with some of these other receivers. And then when Cooper Kupp is back and what they're calling a return to performance, not just return to play, he can come back and this offense can be better than it was because you got more versatility. It's more dynamic because you're not just solely reliant on Cooper Kupp. So that could be a benefit. And then also, too, it allows Van Jefferson the opportunity to emerge, the opportunity to realize his potential. Can he be for a month a WR1? Can we see what we have in Van Jefferson? Because it's a big year. This is a contract year, and he's not looking over his shoulder. He's not worried about Kupp getting the majority of the targets. This is going to be his time to shine. Now, the only question is, will he make the most of his opportunity? Because last year, he was dealing with the knee injury. He comes back. He wasn't really in the mix early. His first game with over 50 yards receiving wasn't until week 17. He finished with 24 catches for 369 169 yards, made that game-winning catch against the Raiders. But we need to see the Van Jefferson that we saw in 2021. Remember, he was the guy who caught Matthew Stafford's first touchdown pass in his first game with LA. He had 50 catches for 800 yards. He's someone that went off against the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Like I said, he caught that touchdown pass against the Bears in Week 1. So he's going to be the Rams' #1 receiver for a month. Let's see if he can step up. And also guys like Tutu Atwell, Ben Skoranek, guys like Puka Nacua, can DeMarcus Robinson have a big impact? I think that Stafford is going to go to Higbee as his main target. So I think that at the very least, they're going to be better equipped just because this is not going to be a shock to the system. This is not like it happened late last week, and they're going into this game without Cooper Kupp. They've had a month to prepare without him, and it really just comes down to, can these players step up and have more of a receiver-by-committee approach versus relying solely on Kupp? But yeah, make no mistake about it. Anytime you lose a receiver like Cooper Kupp, it is going to have a dramatic impact on your game plan, on your offense. And then one more thing to chew on here on this emergency episode of Locked On Rams is, how does this impact the game plan? Will we see Sean McVay make a more concerted effort to establish that run with Cam Akers, use some ball control, try to get that run game going, kind of go back to their roots? Because we've seen in the past with Cooper Kupp that McVay, he'll ditch the run game early, but without his all-world receiver, I think you got Mike LaFleur, the new offensive coordinator. I think their game plan and their commitment to the run is going to be seen in Week 1. So let's see what we get out of Cam Akers. I think that is going to be huge. Let's see if he can build that momentum and see if that momentum carries over from 2022. Because, hey, in 2022, that was an inconsistent offensive line. You're filled with backups. I'm excited to see how he's going to perform in front of starters. And I think that this is going to fast track and improve run game with Kupp being out. But hey, we'll keep you posted. I still think this Rams team has a good chance of going up into Seattle and winning their first game of the year. But losing Kupp, it definitely is not the way you want to start the season.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.